Howdy folks, I'm Fern and I'm here to answer the question no one's been asking. Can you jump from one planet to another without a spaceship in No Man's Sky? And if so, how much do you really need a spaceship in this game anyways? To begin, all we're going to need is a planet with some low gravity and some S-Class jetpack upgrades. Also, I'll be bringing some hazard protection with us as the vacuum of space tends to be cold. I don't know what the planet we're attempting to jump to has in store for us. So let's not waste any time and jump right into it by first jumping out of our ship and then just continually jumping. I believe in you, A-Button. Hey, what do you know? We can get into space without a ship. That bodes well for the rest of our journey. Also, an interesting fact is that life support systems drain slower in the vacuum of space than on an empty planet, as well as we also seem to have an infinite jetpack fuel. Okay, here we are passing the 155 KS? Not sure what that equates to in real life, but I'm just going to assume it's kilometers. Oh, would you look at that? It seems at high enough speed we disappear. And hey, what do you know? Just coming up on 200 kilometers. Alright, we are surpassing 266 kilometers, and I know what you're thinking. Damn, that's a huge turd. I wonder what laid that. I wonder if we're not alone out here. And would you believe me if I told you that I had the answer to that exact question? It would seem I was correct, as the space whales appear to have left us a turd minefield to navigate. I wonder what happens if we touch one. And by touch one, of course, I mean fly into it at full speed. It would appear nothing happens. Oh well, I enjoy not having consequences for my actions. Anyways, back to the task at hand.
One eternity later.
360 kilometers down, unknown amount to go. I'm starting to go crazy up here amongst the space whale feces. In a daze amongst the stars and turds, I decided to destroy one. Unfortunately, the plan is thwarted by the very turd being stronger than myself. I retreat in defeat, now realizing I sit below a space whale crap in terms of power, and possibly intellect. My motivations return to me as I see the clouds begin to render in the atmosphere. Maybe there's still a victory to be had in this journey after all. More and more clouds render in. I suspect we may be dropping into a hellish storm, though I can't help but find this reminds me of something familiar. As we fall below the cloud layer, it becomes ever more clear to me that this may not be an intended feature, but maybe more of a side effect caused by giving the player a little too much freedom. Regardless of the legitimacy of my claim, our journey nears completion. Upon landing, I realize this planet is not unlike those featured in Helldivers. A horrendous firestorm, hostile megafauna, and of course, gobshite visibility. Well, folks, I would consider this a resounding success, but it leaves me with more questions, like, can you jump to the space station? Or maybe even the anomaly? All that and more in my next video. Just kidding, I have no upload schedule, and now that half the people just clicked off the video because they thought it was over or YouTube inserted an ad, we will now be further testing the capabilities of our No Man's Sky characters with worse viewer retention caused by my own poor attempt at humor. Anyways, back to our planet with low gravity, because that makes jumping off a planet a heck of a lot easier. In fact, I don't even know if you could do it on a regular planet without having pre-built a low orbit base or cooking a crap load of food that gives you increased jetpack tanks. Alright folks, we're now going to be testing jumping to the space station from our planet. Luckily, we've already confirmed you can jump out of the atmosphere, so this is where we cut the video until anything that's even slightly entertaining happens. Based on the distance covered in this short clip, we can deduce that we are moving roughly 190 meters per second. For those of us visual learners out there, it's about 390,277 hockey sticks per hour, based on my own hockey stick length of 69 inches. The fleet to the space equivalent of my left tempts me for another test, but there's only so much time I can spend floating through space in this game. As we drift by my freighter, it truly shows me the scale of this game and all that it has to offer. It boggles my mind that it only takes up 25 gigabytes on my Xbox. They've released more updates to this game than that, and they're all free. Anyways, there's a space station awaiting our arrival. Not that it'll be a traditional landing, but a landing nonetheless. As we approach the space station, I take a moment to reflect back on what brought us here. Was it good planning? An efficient use of my time? Maybe I just didn't want to stack my firewood in the rain today. So many questions, who knows what the reason is. Either way, we've arrived at our destination. And would you look at that? For some reason, our ship was teleported up here. I assume that's some sort of idiot proofing for people like me trying to ruin their save file. Well, since this works so well, it's only logical we go for 3 for 3 and summon the anomaly and try to jump it from our planet. Now, unfortunately, upon trying to summon the anomaly and then land back on the planet, it kept despawning. No matter what I tried, I could not get it to stay in orbit above the planet. The solution I've deduced is to land on the planet, summon our Corvette to make it our most recent ship, and then jump back into space. Upon exiting the atmosphere, I will then summon my Corvette, summon the anomaly, and then jump back out and continue our journey. I realize this could be considered cheating, but since I've already spent ages testing this very important feature, I don't feel like finding another workaround to this roadblock. Now that we've exited the atmosphere, we'll hop in our Corvette and summon the anomaly. Unfortunately, due to our proximity to the planet, we'll have to fly away just a little until the anomaly becomes summonable again. Alright, now that we've got the anomaly, we can jump out of our ship and continue our journey on foot, or whatever this would be considered. As we approach the anomaly, I think a little further on a question I had in regards to how much you actually need a ship in No Man's Sky. This will really be the final test as to whether or not that question could be legitimate. Unfortunately, we phased right through the entrance to the anomaly. I'm starting to think this feature I'm testing is maybe more of a gimmick. Regardless, there's still the actual gate ahead of us that you actually go through when entering the anomaly. There's still hope that this will work. Actually, never mind. It would appear Sean has placed before us an invisible wall blocking me from entering the anomaly on foot. I summon my ship in defeat as I'm pulled into the anomaly. Can you get to the anomaly without a ship? Sort of. They won't let you in the front door, though. After these extensive tests, we've concluded that yes, you can jump between planets without a ship and even get aboard the space station. However, to answer the question of whether or not you need a ship to play No Man's Sky, well, I'd say no. Unless, of course, you want to complete the tutorial, progress the storyline, leave the solar system, leave the galaxy, collect cool ships, enter the anomaly, and play the game with your friends who probably don't want to start a no-ship playthrough in a game all about space. Thank you all for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed. I'll be leaving this little grace period here so you can click on another video before YouTube plays a 60-second unskippable ad forcing you to watch the whole thing before you can select another video.